Gonzales, the reason they have this cannon is because the Comanches kept trying to burn Gonzales to the ground, so the Mexican government gave it to them to fight off the Comanches.
Ah.
Prior to giving it to them, they drove a nail in this touch hole, spiking it so they wouldn't shoot ammunition. So the only way you could fire this cannon would be to put some powder in a long fuse, set it off. You could make a lot of noise, but you couldn't hit nothing. So it served its purpose until things start to rumble as far as the Texas Revolution. And word came from San Antonio that they want this cannon back in their possession. So they're going to send 100 troops over here to get it. Well, in the meantime, the blacksmiths plug up this hole as if it had never been drilled, and they drilled another one all the way through. Now this cannon's going to work like it's supposed to. Pack the powder, ammunition, and a little short fuse. Whatever you put in the cannon, it's going to fire it out. They come with their 100 troops. They have been given orders to come and get a cannon that's not supposed to shoot and don't start a war. Well, settlers are not going to give it back to them, and so that's why that phrase, come and take it, is out there, is because they told those Mexican army, says, you want this cannon, you can come and take it. And they fired it at them, and the army said, you can keep it, we're going back to San Antonio. So that started the Texas Revolution.
Wow.
Because everything after that starts moving towards San Antonio. And then you have the Alamo in February or March 1836. Gonzales started it 1835. April of 1836, the San Jacinto and the Texas Revolution is over with. Probably a period of about 202 days is all the revolution was. But this cannon, shortly after Gonzales battle, they're going to be taking it with them to San Antonio. And they get out about 20 miles west of town, and the cart breaks down on them. So two guys responsible say, let's just bury it. We can always come back and get it. So they buried it and went on to San Antonio, not knowing that those two guys are going to get killed in two separate battles in San Antonio. People forget about this cannon. The cannon's going to stay buried until a big flood in 1936, so it was buried 100 years. So boys find it in the mud, put it on the side of the road, and go on trying to find survivors. Well, in the meantime, the mailman comes through, see the cannon on the side of the road, and he brings it to town and he puts it in the post office, where it's going to stay from 1936 to 1968 as a doorstop at the post office. Nobody's even thinking about the possibility of it. Because in 1968, they moved to a new post office, trying to get rid of some of the clutter. Somebody will take this cannon and go to Houston to a gun show and sell it to a gun collector who buys it and takes it back to his home in Mexico and puts it with the rest of his collection. In 1979, he gets invited to bring his whole collection to San Antonio to a gun show, and that's where Dr. Pat Wagner from over in Shiner sees it. He's always heard that the come and take it cannon has been drilled twice. So him and another guy trade a longhorn steer and some muskets for the cannon. And they go to work, put together their own little research team, and they prove that it's actually it. So Dr. Wagner has this card made for it. He shows it around Texas, and then his family gives it to the museum permanent in 2000. So that's a kind of a brief history of the come and take it cannon. During the Alamo battle, William Travis sends out a letter for some recruits, and the only ones that answer the call are going to be 32 men from Gonzales who will fight their way into the Alamo and to die with the rest of them. So that's the reason for the museum.
Okay.
It is dedicated to that 32 that gave their life for Texas freedom. And they, like I say, the state of Texas built 9 of these museums all over Texas.
I see.
This being one of them. The north wing was the museum. South wing was the public library, and then when they got their own building for the library, then they expanded the museum. So
I see. Is
that's
there
kind of a brief.
what are the like objects you have here that are really unique? Kind of.
Well, most of this stuff is about the beginning of the colony. Green DeWitt, his family, some of the first settlers here, and then of course it starts about Texas freedom. Stephen F. Austin is considered the father of Texas, and so Head was a friend of Green DeWitt, and he's the one that helped Green DeWitt get this colony started.
Oh, okay.
And these are just some artifacts from that time period and everything. And that's talking about the original Come and Take It flag and what it looked like, a star, the cannon, and the words Come and Take It on it. It was actually made from a woman's dress, wedding dress, most likely the train, because it was like 6 foot long. And so this is just some other things from the Alamo time period and moving towards what they called the runaway scrape, when the Texans started moving towards the east to get away from the marching Mexican army. And so this is what some of this stuff. And so we just have various things in the time periods around Texas during the Civil War. There in the back. There's just various artifacts that have been donated to the museum, all the way through stuff from World War II.
I see.
Civil War battle flag. That's actually the battle flag of Northern Virginia. Robert E. Lee would have a flag like that.
Wow.
The actual country flag, if you notice, I have my 6 flags over Texas, which I like to tell the kids when they come, that's 6 flags over Texas. That's not an amusement park. That's what those 6 flags are.
Right.
Because we've got Spain, and then Mexico, the Texas flag, the United States flag, and there's one flag that has a circle of stars. That's the country of the Confederacy. And then of course, the white one is the French flag. So those are, at one time or another, Texas was under one of those flags.